Once upon a time in an art class sat a little girl. She had dark hair that fell down her back and eyes that twinkled like stars. But when it came to drawing, her pictures never turned out right. She struggled with every stroke, frustrated as she tried to make something great, but she just wasn't good at art. One day her teacher showed the class a picture. It was amazing. Colors were vibrant, the lines confident and bold, and the subject of the painting was just so lifelike. "Who did this?" asked the teacher. No one spoke up. It was Sarah who had secretly done the painting. She hid behind her desk, wanting her teacher and classmates to praise her for her amazing work, but also terrified they might find out she was just an ordinary girl who drew ordinary pictures. When class was over, Sarah went home. She had to tell her mom about her amazing painting. She was so proud, yet she couldn't help comparing herself to other students. Her mother listened patiently as Sarah ranted, not knowing what to say. After all, how could she have known her daughter was talking about the painting she'd done? But when Sarah was done, her mom said, "Why don't you draw me a picture, honey? I'd love to see what you can do." Sarah stared at the blank paper before her and suddenly felt like a fraud. What if her mom thought her art was ordinary? What if she stopped believing Sarah was a good artist? With a trembling hand, Sarah picked up her pencil and started to draw. But after a few strokes, she stopped. It just didn't feel right. She wanted to do something amazing, something her mom would hang on the fridge, but all she could think about was how bad her drawings were. As days went by, Sarah found herself becoming more and more afraid to draw. One night, she was looking through old photo albums and came across a picture of her as a toddler. In the photo, she was drawing on a big pad of watercolor paper. Next to the drawing was a note written in her mom's handwriting. "My little artist at work," it said. Sarah felt tears stinging her eyes. She missed making art. She missed being her mom's little artist. That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. She tossed and turned in bed thinking about her art. Why had she stopped drawing? Who was she trying to impress? Maybe she really was just an ordinary girl who drew ordinary pictures. Maybe there was no point in trying to be an artist. Just then, Sarah remembered the girl in the photo. That girl had drawn a picture without a second. Thought about what anyone else thought of her art. That girl had been brave enough to express herself, and expressing herself was the most important thing. When the sun rose, Sarah got out of bed feeling as if a weight had been lifted from her shoulders. She walked over to her desk and picked up a pad of watercolor paper. Then she started to draw. As the day went on, Sarah forgot about the time. All she could think about was her art. When her mom knocked on the door to ask if she wanted some lunch, Sarah just yelled, "I'm busy." For the first time in a long time, Sarah didn't care if her mom liked her art or not. She didn't care if her mom thought she was just an ordinary girl who drew ordinary pictures. She was going to draw what she loved. And if her mom didn't like it, well, that was okay. Hours later, Sarah's drawing was finished. It wasn't anything fancy, but it was beautiful to her. She had drawn a picture of her and her mom walking along a path with tall grass on either side of them. The sky above them was filled with bright stars and a rainbow arched over them both. Duh. Sarah got up and went to get her mom. "Mom, come see what I've done," she said proudly. Her mom looked at the drawing, her eyes filled with tears. "Oh, Sarah, it's beautiful," she whispered. Then she hugged Sarah tightly. "You're my little artist," she murmured into Sarah's hair. Sarah blushed. She had forgotten all about that until her mom had brought it up. But she was happy she'd expressed herself again. She was happy she wasn't just an ordinary girl who drew ordinary pictures. From that day on, Sarah drew every day. Sometimes her drawings were amazing, and sometimes they were ordinary. But every time Sarah drew, she remembered that it wasn't about being the best artist in the world. It was about expressing herself and being brave enough to show the world her art. Now, years later, Sarah is a successful artist. People from all around the world know and love her art. But Sarah hasn't forgotten the little girl who drew a picture for her mom. Whenever Sarah sees a young artist struggling, she remembers the importance of encouraging others to follow their dreams. One day while walking through the park, Sarah saw a group of kids drawing on a large pad of watercolor paper on the ground. They were having fun, but Sarah could tell they weren't very good. As she got closer, she heard one of the kids say, "I wish I was good at art. I'm just not talented." Another kid nodded. "Me too. I'm just not cut out to be an artist." Sarah stopped in her tracks. She recognized those words. They were the same words she used to tell herself. Sarah walked up to the kids and asked if she could look at their drawings. They were hesitant at first, but eventually agreed. Sarah looked at the drawings, then smiled. "These are wonderful," she said. The kids looked at each other in surprise. "Really?" one of them asked. "Of course," said Sarah. "Your art is amazing." Sarah took a moment to look at each of the kids. "Each of you has a unique style," she said. "You're all very talented artists." The kids looked at their drawings again, this time with new eyes. "I never thought of it like that before," one of them said. Sarah smiled. "Well, that's because you're all artists," she said. "And being an artist isn't about being the best. It's about expressing yourself and being brave enough to show the world your art." The kids looked at Sarah, then back at their drawings. A slow smile spread across one of the kids' faces. "So that means," he began, then stopped. "It means what?" Sarah asked. "It means we're all artists," he said with a grin. La 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 la. The kids continued to draw, but now they were smiling and laughing. Sarah watched them for a moment, then walked away. She felt good knowing that she had helped these kids see that they were all artists. She had helped them see that they were all special. As Sarah walked through the park, she saw a family sitting on a bench. A young girl was looking at a drawing she had done. She was frowning, obviously unhappy with her art. Sarah walked over and asked if she could take a look. The girl hesitated, then handed her drawing to Sarah. Sarah looked at it, then smiled. "This is amazing," she said. The girl's eyes widened in surprise. "Really?" she asked. "Of course," said Sarah. "You're an amazing artist." The girl blushed and looked down at her drawing. I don't know, she mumbled. Said Sarah. "You're brave for sharing your art with the world." The girl looked up at Sarah and smiled. "Thanks," she whispered. Sarah continued on her way, feeling good about helping this young artist see that she was special. But as she walked, she couldn't help but think about how many other young artists needed her help. How many other kids were struggling with their art? How many other kids didn't believe in themselves? Just then, Sarah had an idea. She would start a group to help young artists find their voice. She would call it the Dot Club, because every kid who joined would be a dot in her eyes. Sarah smiled. She finally knew what she wanted to do with her life. She wanted to help other kids realize that they were all artists, and if they ever doubted themselves, they could remember that they were all special, that they were all brave, and that they were all beautiful.